This is Jesse Finkelstein. I recently had the rare opportunity to sit down with Fred Taylor, one of the most influential figures in the Boston music scene, to talk about Miles Davis.
So, 1967, I booked the first Miles Davis at the Jazz Workshop in Boston. And the first night, I came down, the club show started at 9 and 11. So I came down about 9:15. My office was in a building right next to the club. And Miles is sitting at the bar. So I go up and say, "Hi, Miles, I'm Fred Taylor." And I could have been talking to the wall. And I said, "How do you like to run your sets?" So then he turns around and he says, "I came here to play, man." So I said, "Well, we do two sets, 9 and 11. You're in charge," and I walked away. Well, he got that band on the stand at 9, and they played their asses off. At the end of the night, he came up to me and said, "What did you think of the band?" I said, "They sound good, but I'll bet you'll sound even better by Wednesday." He said, "You're right." Well, that little meeting kind of bonded us. Miles was a no-frills guy. He didn't like people, patronizing and that stuff. So he hit me and I hit him right back, and he loved it. And that funny little meeting set our relationship from that point on. I'm the only person he would play for in Boston. And in 1980, he disappeared for about 5 years. And in 1981, I got a phone call, and I had heard he had been drifting into the studios in New York and starting to work on a recording again. And he was getting ready to come back out. And he called me. He said, I got a new band. We got to play." Well, I didn't have a club at that time, but I had an idea where a place I could get. It was a club called Kicks near Kenmore Square. And I went into the owner. It was a disco up front, but there was a whole club in the back that was never being used. And I asked the owner, I said, "Could I take this thing over?" And he says, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I have an artist that I want to bring in." And he says, "Well, what kind of artist?" I said, "Miles Davis." The guy says, "Miles," they happen to be a jazz fan, the guy that owned it. "Miles Davis, oh my God, yeah." Well, it was, I think, June of 81, and that, I'll never forget the first night. The press from all over the world was there. Japan, Germany, France, England. I mean, it was unbelievable. This was, the re-emergence of Miles Davis, And Miles came, the club was sort of down this little alley, and I forget what he drove. Was it a Lamborghini? It was an incredible sports car. Drove down. Then we brought him in through the side of the club, but we had to come into the club to get down to the dressing room, and when they saw him, the whole room just erupted. About 6 or 7 years later, matter of fact, it was around 1987, I was suffering from degenerative osteoarthritis, and I'd come to the point where there was nothing more I could do. I was going to have both hips replaced. I could hardly walk. And I had Miles coming to do a concert in Boston, and he had a hip replaced. So when he came in, I was asking him about his experience with it and so forth. Well, about 8 months later, I had him coming back in to do another concert, and I had my hips replaced, and I was up walking. So I went out to the airport to meet him, and we're walking back, and I said, "Hey, Miles, there's something I got to tell you." And I said, "Well, it's taken me a lifetime to be able to say this." So he's starting to look at me. I said, "Miles, I am now hipper than you. 2, count 'em, baby, 2. in his inimitable fashion, he put his arms around me and said, "You motherfucker."